Have you really understood Pride and Prejudice? Most people regard it as an 18th century romantic fantasy. A prejudiced girl tames a proud gentleman. And finally, the prince and princess live a happy life. But have you noticed? When reading this book, some only see the flirtations at the ball, while others read the code of social mobility. Some envy Elizabeth's good luck, while a few learn her wisdom of staying awake amid prejudice. What we are going to do today is to tear off the packaging of the classic love story and make you one of the 10% who can steal the laws of real-life survival from Jane Austen's words, The Awakened Ones. You may have fallen into these 3 cognitive traps, like 90% of readers, thinking that pride only refers to Darcy's coldness, but failing to notice that Elizabeth's prejudice is more fatal. She uses preconceived labels. This person is proud equals he must be bad to block the truth. Isn't this like your stereotypes of some colleagues or friends? Do you think the view of marriage in the book is outdated? But the choices of the 5 Bennet daughters are essentially an eternal proposition of resource matching. Lydia gambles her youth for passion. Charlotte trades compromise for stability. And Elizabeth uses wisdom to strive for equality. What's the difference between this and the current choice between bread and love? Underestimating Jane Austen's sharp tongue when she writes, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." She is not talking about marriage and love, but exposing the society's discipline of individuals. Just like now, some people say, what's the point of a girl reading so many books, which essentially uses prejudice to kidnap life? Breaking these perceptions, you will find that this book is not a love fairy tale at all, but an 18th century anti-prejudice survival manual. In Jane Austen's world, the core resources that determine the direction of life have never been beauty or wealth, but these 3, when Elizabeth first rejected Darcy, she relied on a prejudice filter. But when she saw the housekeeper of Pemberley Manor comment that Darcy has always been generous to the poor, she could immediately overthrow her existing judgment. This is the top ability. Admitting, I may be wrong. When Mr. Collins proposed to Elizabeth, he listed such advantages as, I am the heir to Lady Catherine's property, and your family has no son to inherit the estate, but ignored the core social currency, sincerity. It's like some people only report their cars and houses on blind dates now, but don't understand that empathy is more important than conditions. Darcy's pride initially made him lose the initiative, but when he put down his dignity to solve Lydia's scandal and proved with actions that my resources are willing to tilt for you, he won Elizabeth's respect instead. This tells you the real advantage is not having resources, but making the other party believe that you will use the resources fairly. If you want to turn the wisdom in the book into your thinking habits, you need to install these 3 cognitive patches. When meeting someone new, first ask yourself, what label have I put on him, her? Is this label a fact or an emotion? Just like after Elizabeth saw Darcy's apology letter, she forced herself to read the letter 3 times and use details to overthrow her prejudice. When facing a choice, such as a stable but boring job, a relationship with matching conditions but no feeling, apply the lessons of the Bennet sisters. Short-term pleasure, Lydia, equals long-term risk. Excessive compromise, Charlotte, equals hidden consumption. While Elizabeth's formula, core need, respect, surface conditions, wealth. When Darcy said, "I disregard your origin," during his first proposal, it was essentially packaging a sense of superiority with pride. In reality, when you say, "I'm doing this for your own good," you may be making the same mistake. The real respect is like Darcy in the later period. I am willing to adjust myself just to understand you. Elizabeth's counterattack is not due to luck, but 3 replicable core competencies. When Collins was talking boastfully, she asked, "Do you really think Lady Catherine's opinion is always correct?" In the face of Darcy's defence, she pressed, "Why did you separate Jane and Bingley?" This kind of questioning technique that is not led astray by emotions and hits the core can help you take the initiative in negotiations and debates. After being humiliated by Darcy, she did not lose her temper on the spot, but wrote in her diary when she got home, "His pride makes me angry, but I need to calmly analyze whether there is some truth in his words." This emotional cooling method, event to feeling to fact stripping, can keep you awake when you are offended or misunderstood. When Collins said, "You will regret rejecting me," Elizabeth directly retorted, "I would rather regret than make do with it." In reality, daring to say no to opportunities that do not conform to your values can instead attract truly matching resources, just like Darcy began to reflect on his own problems because of her rejection. This book contains an advanced guide to dealing with complex relationships, divided into 3 stages. Identify the source of prejudice infection. Wickham is a gentleman on the surface, but in fact, he uses prejudice. Darcy persecuted me to manipulate others, just like those around you who only say what you want to hear. They essentially harvest trust with prejudice. Coping method. Like Elizabeth, be vigilant against perfect personas and find more third-party, establish flexible social boundaries. Miss Bingley is jealous of Elizabeth, but pretends to be close. In reality, some people belittle you while wanting to take advantage of you at this time. Learn from Elizabeth. Don't tear faces, but keep a distance. Her attitude towards Miss Bingley is respond politely but not make deep friends, which neither offends people nor crosses the bottom line. Reconstruct relationships with actions. Darcy repaired his relationship with Elizabeth by silently solving Lydia's scandal. This shows that changing others' prejudice against you depends on actions rather than explanations. For example, if you are misunderstood by colleagues as irresponsible, rather than arguing, it is better to change their opinion with a perfect project delivery. finally, summarize 3 survival wisdoms that can transcend the times. After being rejected by Darcy and deceived by Wickham, Elizabeth did not become cynical, but became more insightful, this tells you. The pain brought by prejudice is actually an opportunity for cognitive upgrading, just like glass that has been hit by a hammer, which will be harder after being re-spliced. Darcy's change from pride to humility and Elizabeth's change from prejudice to understanding are not instantaneous, but go through the cycle of event impact, reflection, the action verification. This reminds you, when changing your own or others' cognition, don't pursue quick results, but let it permeate slowly, like stewing soup. The most touching thing in the book is not love, but that Elizabeth always asks, what kind of life do I want, rather than what kind of life do others want me to live. No matter how the times change, those who hold on to their subjectivity will never become slaves to prejudice. Now, please do one thing. Open your mobile phone memo and write down 2 names. One is someone you may have prejudice against, and the other is someone who may have prejudice against you. Then, imitating Elizabeth's approach, list 3 points I may have misunderstood, and 1 small thing that can be verified. For each person, such as sending a sincere message to the other person, or observing a detail that was previously ignored. After completing this step, you have taken the first step from a person controlled by prejudice to a prejudice breaker. Remember, Jane Austen told us 200 years ago that real growth is not to eliminate pride and prejudice, but to learn to firmly move towards the life you want after seeing them clearly.